All right, I have with me today a young and very strappingly attractive young man. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Paul Lang. I play Captain Harrison Hawk in the film that we're going to talk about today. Star Trek Horizon. And I'm actor, father, just general around.
So to tell us a little bit more about yourself, I was looking at your IMDb profile and I noticed that you seem to be in a pretty popular and controversial summer blockbuster from last year.
Oh, Batman Superman?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know about the controversy part. Pretty straightforward movie, whether you liked it or not.
Yeah.
I think it was good. My scene was mainly cut, though. So, yes. You can hear, in the first trailer, you can hear my scene, because it was a scene that they shot before Henry Cavill goes into the Congress, goes in front of Holly Hunter's, Senate first, character, and goes to testify, and then they blow it up. Well, I was outside that building yelling, go home, and this is our planet, and he's out of control, and I was yelling all that stuff. And then Henry Cavill lands, and we all kind of shut up because he's Superman. And
was this your first experience in major film production, or?
No, I've done films for a while. My first, I've had speaking roles when I was a kid too. I did some small stuff, but I guess most recently I did a lot of indies, which are fun. I did a lot of independent films. I've done, feature lengths, but then Machine Gun Preacher I had a role in. Then during the shooting of Horizon, I was involved with a film called Pups United, which is still on Netflix. It's a great film if you got little kids.
I've seen that come up on my Netflix so often now. Maybe I should watch it now. So.
Watch it with little kids. It's definitely geared towards them. A Girl Like Her was a film that we shot that's still on Netflix too.
Yeah.
That was a film about bullying. Very powerful movie. And then on the 9th, I'm going to go finally see at the Burbank Film Festival. I'm going to go see Thrill Ride, which is another film. And then done a lot of commercials and industrials in the Midwest market.
So you're a busy man.
Well, yeah, I've since moved. I moved away from the Midwest, moved out to California, to a great little town called Encinitas, which is north of San Diego, south of LA by about an hour and a half. And even though I've done some work out here, I just filmed a nice little cameo scene in a movie called Far Left. Done some commercial work out here. I've kind of sunk into the sand on the beach, and I like it a lot. So I gotta get out, and I gotta go and get back into it. So.
Well, how long have you been acting then? I mean, before we get into Horizon, I like to get to know the individuals I'm dealing with, obviously. So, how long have you been acting?
Since I was a kid, since about 11 years old. I went to an apprentice theater, took classes there. That's kind of where I first got my bug, and studied, under Celia Turner there. Did some Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. Then did some commercials, a lot of drama, of course, through, in school drama, some community theater back then. Took a break, though. When I graduated high school, by the skin of my teeth, I took a break and I joined the Marine Corps. And so I did a tour of duty, and that's the first time that I actually visited Encinitas, is when I was stationed at Camp Pendleton, north of here.
Nice. It seems you and I have a similar career path.
There you go. Were you in service?
Yeah, I was in the British TA for...
right on.
Yeah, so I was in Afghan and Iraq for a couple of tours.
Thank you for your service.
It was a job. That's how I tend to approach it more than anything else. But my major interests have always been acting and producing. So,
oh, excellent.
It's kind of strange how, how we divert, but we always stick to our childhood dreams. Would you agree?
Absolutely. So after the military, yeah, I went to work for the family, and we've had a family business, and I did that during the summers when I was young. And it was real estate, it was development. My dad was very successful, real estate developer, all the way up to about 2004 or 5 when things started going south in Michigan, and 2008 was kind of like the kicker. So we hung in there for a couple years, but when that happened and when the company finally had to close due to the economic circumstances here, I found myself wondering what to follow, what to do in my next career at the tender age of like 38, 39. And that's when I went back, and a friend of mine said, hey, just go over to the talent agency, bring them a headshot, resume what you did, and take it from there. Now, I'd done some community theater, during those years, but I hadn't done a lot of acting. I went into this agency in Detroit, and literally the next day I got an audition and booked this Ford Transit commercial, and then from there it just continued. Yeah, I love it. It's
I'm glad you did, actually. And then you went on to captain a starship.
Yeah, well, I met Tommy on a shoot for a short film that was being directed by Mark Bowers. And Mark Bowers, is on the he's my chief science officer on the ship, Commander Gates, and there was a short called Extended Slate. It's a comedic short. Yeah. And you'll see Janine Thompson in it as well. And that's how I first met Tommy. Tommy was running the camera. And then Tommy, reached out to me and said, hey, how would you like to captain a starship? And, so I said, yeah, I mean, of course it's exciting. And then I asked him a couple questions about like how long, being that I'd already been in some films at that point, and understanding the production of them, my questions were, how long is the film going to be, and how much CGI is there? He said a feature film length and about, I think 80% CGI. Immediately I was like, oh, this poor kid. If you would have asked me the chances of the film being completed when I first started the project, I would have given it a very low number. Not super low, because Tommy is very dedicated and very smart. Has his very focused, and I would have said, maybe 30%, just knowing the reality of it. And as the shoot went on, into like maybe our second or third time of shooting, that number would have skyrocketed. Yeah, there was no doubt during the shooting that Tommy was going to finish the film. So. And it was that's how it started. Yeah. That's how I met Tommy Kraft, and how I ended up on Star Trek Horizon was actually through Mark Bowers' film, Extended Slate, which is, I believe, still on. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah. So tell us about the process that you went through with Tommy and the actual film, because obviously you were dealing with a lot of virtual sets, so everything was green screen. You had to utilize your imagination a lot in.
Yes, and that's a huge challenge, especially for actors who maybe don't have that much experience in front of a green screen. You are reacting to, things that are happening around you that aren't happening. It was filmed mainly in the basement of Tommy's parents' home in right near Jackson. I believe it's Spring Creek, right near Jackson, Michigan. And his parents are wonderful people. They really are. They're just really accommodating, just really, really sweet people. And they allowed Tommy to basically take over the basement, draped some green fabric around, and that's where we began to shoot. And that's where the majority, I believe, though, actually, our first shoot, take that back, the first shoot that we did is the outdoor scene. When we land on Horizon. Spoiler alert. And we land on Horizon and we find, the structure. So that was actually the first scene that we shot, and it was really cold. We started in October, and I think we ended about, and Tommy would know the dates better than I, but it was over a year of shooting, but only 11 shoot dates. So not only did we have, the issue of green screen, but, when you film a project, and it was because it was, it's hard to get everybody together. Mm-hmm. This was truly a fan film. And, this was a film that everyone was volunteering there. And I'm not, this is where they're volunteering their time and efforts. And, that is difficult to get people. It's difficult for people to be able to put aside the time when they got to make money. You got family to feed.
And also motivation is also difficult with with that as well. Because I've done guerrilla filmmaking as well. And when the people have got other things to do, keeping them motivated on the project is also a very big challenge.
Yeah. Now Tommy, though, knowing what he kept releasing pieces of it, and we got to see pieces of it as it's being as it was being produced. There was a lot of rendering time. The computer takes a lot of time rendering these scenes.
Oh God, yes.
So, but the motivation level still remained high as we begun to see, the quality. The first trailer for Horizon blew me away. I was, taken aback. That was when I really realized this kid just knows what he's doing. This young man, and he did the music and the costuming and the whole bit.
That's what I was going to discuss with you. The fact that it's similar to how I approach filmmaking, because pretty much people consider me a talent. A talent in all pies. I do special effects, I do script writing, I do directing, I do the filming and the lighting and all that kind of thing. And what impresses me is Tommy is. Well, I'm 43 years old, so obviously I've got a lot of experience behind. But Tommy is not 43 years old. He's actually a very young man, isn't he?
I think he was 23 years old when he was filming Horizon. He might be a little older now.
Well, exactly. And that's what kind of impresses me, is kind of his dedication at such a young age, and the fact that he inspired people older than him that he could do this. That speaks a lot for such a young man. Most young men trying to get this idea out would kind of get blank looks.
And that was when I first spoke with him. I mean, I was a little cynical.
Yeah.
I'd been involved in some independent film projects that had never made it to finished product. And I mean, you've been in the business for years now, and you know that happens.
Yeah.
I've been in major motion pictures that had just never come to light. And so when, he did a couple things that were just really, really positive, really smart. Not only did he showcase his work early on so that everyone understood the level of the product that was being made, he also put together a really good team, not only crew-wise, with his buddy Josh, but cast-wise. He brought together a lot of talented people who were dedicated to keep it going. We had a wonderful makeup artist. Her name's Vera Zeus, and she is a friend. And those two, you should have heard her and Tommy go back and forth. That was always fun. Callie was on board from the beginning. Callie Bussell, who plays the Romulan, she's wonderful, talented, a beautiful actress. And she's actually on the project that Tommy's involved in right now that he's doing, called Electron Blade.
Okay.
And the dedication, of course, with Bowers and everyone involved, Tom, and they were all just so dedicated from the start, and that's nice. We wanted to see it through. No one really bailed. Not a single person. Well, that's not true. I think there were some issues with sound, maybe, music, but
it happens. I mean, it's one of the big. I mean, when I was doing Mrs. E, which is a product that I did, sound was always the issue because we don't necessarily have the money to do this. When I started out, pretty much all my films were made on. And I just broke my glasses. There we go. Okay. was made in practically nothing. I remember doing a conceptual trailer in nothing more than my bedroom and a green screen, and people were still blown away by what it was done. The only dilemma I had was sound.
Right.
Yeah, I will say that there are issues with sound in Horizon, but comparatively speaking, whoever posted that sound, who did post-editing on that sound, did a tremendously good job considering. I mean, considering outside is usually the worst to do sound on, because that's I think that was Horizon was the only outside scene you had, wasn't it? Other than the party, not the party, the scene where everybody is kind of like remembering the dead.
Yes.
Yeah. Filming outside with sound is a nightmare. So I've got to give Tommy his due. Whoever he got to correct those sound issues did a pretty damn fine job considering what he had to work with. There's a lot I could say about this film that actually makes it an unqualifiable success as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, Michael Huang is his name. He did a lot of the, I guess, sound effect editing. You know, but Tommy did all the music and also did a lot of the sound. And of course, on set, we had Joel. There was a couple other guys. Tim Betzler helped out. There's a guy named Dan who helped out. Thale. Joel Worsham was on set a lot as well. And they all did a great job. They all put it together. You know, they all really worked hard and, you know, got it completed. You know, the Kickstarter people definitely helped. You know, he had a lot of help from some 3D modelers throughout the Star Trek universe. That's one thing about, you know, the fan base for Star Trek. And I think that the fans, you know, especially the hardcore fans of Star Trek, really appreciate what Tommy has done. Because, you know, not only did he, you know, create this wonderful storyline, but he never broke any canon rules.
No, he didn't.
And, you know, kept it very within the Star Trek universe. But back to that point, the people out there, there's a lot of talent out there. A lot of people who are willing to help, you know, because they love Star Trek and they love the, you know, the franchise. Yeah. So we had the people from the West Coast, Rico Anderson, Ryan Husk, Lisa Hansel, you know, wonderful, you know, people who helped out, and they wanted to get involved, and because they just love everything Star Trek, everything Star Trek, and they're so talented that there's a great well of talent out there to choose from.
I think that's basically what a lot. I think this isn't me kind of bringing up drama. I always feel uncomfortable with it, but I'm trying to bring something positive out of this. When people are kind of like attacking other fan films or attacking, you know, creativity, I feel rather saddened by it, because whatever your personal feelings about an individual or whatever, that doesn't necessarily take away their contribution to Star Trek. If you love Star Trek, you should appreciate the effort people are putting into it. I've seen fan films from differing levels of quality, from the mediocre to the absolutely stunning, you know, like Horizon and Axanar and Star Trek Continues are all in those high ends. And then you got old shows like older series, I think it was New Horizons, which was I think it was in 2003, and the green screen was awful, but the series itself was still pretty much fun. And I think that the thing is that what we got to remember is that whatever our personal feelings about individuals or whatever, surely it's our love for Star Trek that really should unite us at this point, rather than this pretentious arguing that we've been seeing lately.
Well, yeah, and what I see, and this is something that, and I don't know whether or not it's just recent, and I'm looking at one right now, which is kind of, you know, it's mind-boggling. So you have these fan films come out, and it's not one fan film. You know, they have this one is, you know, so much better that they tend to, I guess, denigrate these other ones. Yeah. And there's no point.
No.
Take them for all what they're worth. whether it's a kid with a camcorder or whether it's a $600,000 production.
Yeah,
it's still people enjoying themselves and showing their absolute love for the franchise and Gene Roddenberry's visions. That's the part that's kind of discerning, whether or not you enjoy this, whether or not you like it. Find something. You try to find something nice to say about everybody.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was taught that as a kid. If you got nothing nice to say, then don't say anything.
Then don't say it at all. Exactly.
I guess with the social media and this anonymity behind the keyboard, you can say whatever you feel like saying, and it's never really going to get to you because who are you ever gonna meet? But people do read that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay? And they read it, and they're like, there's no point in what I find interesting is we have never addressed other fan films, always positively. I mean, Star Trek Continues is a great product. Like I said, Prelude was a great product, but they don't have to be one or the other. It's not like, oh, if you like Continues, you can't like Axanar. If you like Requiem of Gods and Men.
Of Gods and Men.
You can't like Patekmen or Potek. I can't even pronounce that right now.
Exactly.
But you know what I mean. If you like one, it doesn't mean that you can't like the others, and you can't have a moment of enjoyment and see the effort and the fun that the people are trying to have and tell their stories.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, if you don't mind my bringing up Prelude to Axanar, because it is part of the interview as well, sadly. But the thing is that what really gets me is sometimes I'm looking at the drama between the people who feel as if they've been let down by Axanar and the people who are supporting Axanar. And what I see is this oh, you're a hater, you hate this, you hate this, you hate that particular person. Now, I have no personal gripe with Alec Peters myself. What happened between me and him was more of a professional disagreement. But sadly, what came about as a result of that professional disagreement was I'm automatically hating on Alec Peters. And then people come to my review on Axanar, and they're utterly surprised that I turned around and said, it's a very, very good, high-quality film. And it is.
Yes.
There's no getting around that. I'm not going to sit there and, I'm not going to sit there and say, because I've had a personal issue with somebody, that his product is automatically terrible. That's not how it should work. And what saddens me is that I'm seeing this... It's almost like watching a childhood brawl in a yard. Yeah. And the reason I bring it up was Horizon is actually the most popular Star Trek fan film on YouTube right now. It stands at 6.5 million views. Did you know that?
Yeah, yeah. Every once in a while, I'll chime in. I'll go check it out, see where it's at.
Now, I'm not saying that more views means it's better, but at the same time. What came up? You'll have to bring your camera down a bit. You really lost your chin there. There we go. Thank you. But at the same time, what bothered me was Alec Peters suddenly then brings up that Tommy bought those views.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I never really got too much into that, being that we all got our lives and stuff. So that didn't happen. I mean, there's just no doubt in my mind that didn't happen. Well, the money that Tommy had, which it varies whether or not you include, Tommy's own money, because he did put his own money in there. But, you're talking about at max, if I remember correctly, there was about $30,000 on the Kickstarter, and Tommy put some of his own money in, and then there were some additional monies that came in. But let's say, he had at the max $50,000. He spent every dime. Yeah, he really did. So there was no money, and he doesn't need to. He didn't need to. He's not that type of guy. There's no ego here. He put a product out. Just take it for what it's worth. It's a fun film. Tells a story. Get into the story. Enjoy it. The people go into it they go into it with this bias. Oh my gosh, they're against, one's trying to do something against the other.
I never saw that.
Right.
I never actually saw that. It just,
we're just out there.
Yeah.
We just made a film. Just take it for what it's worth. We don't have any claims to anything. It's been viewed a lot, frankly, because I like to think that it tells a good story, and it's a film. It's an hour and 20-minute escape. See it. If you like Star Trek, you're going to like Horizon. If you like the Enterprise series, are there moments that could have been better? Absolutely. But
there's always that cringe-worthy moment in a fan film.
Yeah, every film has them.
Yeah.
I mean, I just got finished watching Marvel's Defenders on Netflix. Wow, you're like, oh, that's painful. But it was still fun.
Yeah.
And it's still a good story, and their characters that I enjoy. And there's no point, and it doesn't, whatever. It really didn't affect anybody. I don't think Tommy even gave it a moment's notice. And a matter of fact, I found out about it like months after it had happened. I was like, "What's this buying views?" Because we're not. There's Axanar kind of created its this amazing fan base. Very dedicated and very amazing fan base. That they were so. Yes, militant. About their film, that militancy, means that they had to immediately denigrate others who are doing fan films as well. And that, to me, is just ludicrous. There's no reason for it.
No.
Just because you like playing baseball doesn't mean you got to crap on football.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Doesn't, and even if it seemed like the Axanar was their team, and anybody who did something or did anything different was against it. Now, I'm not saying that that's for everybody. That's just, I'm sure, or at least I hope, just a small minority of very vocal people. But you're right. Horizon is the most viewed Star Trek fan film out there, but it doesn't mean that we're in any competition with anybody else.
It also doesn't mean that it's any better than Prelude to Axanar, or Prelude to Axanar is any worse than Horizon.
No, they're different.
Exactly.
That's the thing. They're different. Yeah. And let's take it for what it is, Axanar had a lot more resources available to them. And they could get that shot done. They could shoot the whole Prelude, within the span of maybe a week or however long it took to shoot, but continual. They could make sure people had, they got paid to be in it and act in it and do sound and do, and I'm all for that. I'm absolutely all for it. However, it's 20 minutes. It's a 20-minute teaser. It doesn't have a beginning, end, middle, antagonist, protagonist, moral arc, storyline. So,
and to be fair, as much of a lot of the mess is probably of Alex's doing, it was scuppered by, I think it was scuppered by its own success, when CBS kind of took notice and kind of, so, I'm trying to find a defense of Alex here as well, for obvious reasons, for obvious reasons, because he was scuppered by the lawsuit, obviously. Obviously, what happened after the lawsuit is probably his own doing, but I'm not going to play the blame game. And what I admire about you is that you're not playing that blame game either.
There's no blame or anything.
Exactly, yeah.
It is what it is.
If you'll excuse my language, shit happens.
Yeah, exactly. I think, in hindsight, were there things that could have been done differently? In regards to everything, really.
Yeah.
In regards to Horizon, in regards to Prelude, there are things that could have been done differently. I guess things that could have been handled a little bit with more diplomacy. I think CBS, from their point of view, in regards to Axanar, felt like they had to act. Otherwise, they would have done so, with other films that had come out. The other feature-length films, with people, with Nichelle Nichols and, actual stars from Star Trek. Axanar, that production for whatever reasons, made them feel like they needed to take action, and they did. They have every right to. It's their product. So, you know, whether or not you agree with CBS or agree with Axstar, hey, it is what it is.
It happens.
Now we have this guidelines, and they're guidelines.
To be fair, you know, and looking at the guidelines, I mean, I've been looking at the guidelines. I'm not happy with them, I'll be honest with you, but in comparison to the Star Wars guidelines, they are a lot less draconian. With Star Wars, you can only make a 5-minute film,
right,
with the resources that they give you.
Yeah, and I've seen some good ones.
Yeah,
I've seen some good ones. I really have. And
I think that's the thing. I think Tommy, for example, who has been so professional with regards to CBS, it doesn't. I don't know how to praise him for it, because from what you told me, he and CBS handled it very well. But the guidelines, the way I see it, limitation creates greater imagination. So you've got 2 15-minute films. Imagine what you could do with that limitation at that point. You know, that's the way I look at it. You know, so show CBS that the way I look at it is, okay, the guidelines, you may not like the guidelines. If you want CBS to change, show them that it's worth changing.
Right.
You know,
and I think it's once again, it's guidelines. You know, I mean, it's not like it's set rules, and you know, I'm sure they'll step in when they feel, you know, necessary. You know, you had this unprecedented fundraising, you know, for a fan film, and
victim of its own success, really.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and they saw these numbers coming in, and I mean, I don't even know if they were made aware of them until well after the numbers had even come in. You know, and you know, you had you know, a film just prior to that make, I think it was $600,000 on Kickstarter. And when does the, even though you know, do I feel that they would have had a shot to being better than the product that's coming out, you know, from even the, you know, the new Star Trek? I doubt that. And the reason why I say that is because maybe their stories would have been a little bit more in tune with what, you know, a large base of Star Trek fans want to see, you know, more true to the Roddenberry vision than what we've seen coming out of Hollywood lately. But you got to remember, Hollywood, you know, wants to make movies for the world, you know, for billions of people, not hundreds of thousands. So, you know, that goes into their decisions when they decide to, you know, put together storylines and films. But they do an amazing job. So, you know, can we say that Horizon is on par with, you know, a $100 million project? Absolutely not. You know, there's more to it than, you know, the ability to raise that type of money. I think really scared CBS, and they're like, okay, at what point, you know, are we going to have to compete with our own, you know, with our own fans? Yeah. And I don't think they wanted to see that happen. Now, that being said, make movies, you know, and Tommy, what Tommy's doing right now is wonderful. He's creating his own universe,
which I'm looking forward to seeing. I've been keeping a very close eye on his website, so I'm really excited about where he's going with this. Moving on to more positive things now, because I think, you know, that was, you know, whenever I bring up drama, it always makes me uncomfortable as well, so I'm going to try and positive things up a bit. Alex's new projects, can you tell us a bit about those? Or
you mean Tommy's new project?
Yeah, Tommy's new project, sorry.
Well, I've been keeping track of it, not as much as I should be, you know, being out here, but he's creating a whole new universe, a whole new set of characters. Check it out, Electron Blade. They've been doing a lot of blogs, him and Callie, and TK2 Films, and you know, you can see that with more resources and more people helping Tommy, you know, where he doesn't have to do everything all the time, you know, you have a more contiguous project, you know what I mean? And that really does help with the character development and the acting overall and all that. It's you know, I'm excited to see it too. You know, of course, Callie, he's got Callie involved, and Callie's amazing and wonderful, and I've seen some of the new group of actors involved, and they're very talented. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun to see.
What are your plans for the future?
Pay my rent, get my daughter through college. So, you know, right now, I do, like I said, I got a film coming out. I've done some filming. I'll probably hop back into it a little bit more this coming pilot season. But right now, I'm kind of just having fun in Southern California. I live, like I said, I live a mile and a half from the ocean here in Encinitas.
Enjoy the sand. That's one of the things I missed since moving to America. I used to live by the beach, because it was easy for me to reach to, and I miss the sand. Since moving to Las Vegas, I see a lot of sand, but not enough ocean.
Not enough ocean, not enough water to mix with the sand. But I love it, and so it's kind of we made the move out here. It's been a busy year for the Lang family. I got wife, 2 kids out here, and we're starting to really become part of it. Been doing more events down here, and did some commercials down here, and like I said, a film. So it's been a slow move for me, to go from transition from the Midwest to the West Coast. Been fun, and still having some more fun. So keep an eye out for Thrill Ride. That's hitting like the film festival market at this point, and then also take a look at Runaway. That's Tommy's other. He did another film with TK2 Films that was done with Harrison. And that's also doing the film festivals. I believe it's going to be in New York soon enough. It's on the internet. You can check it out. Rico Anderson's in it. Callie Bussel's in it. We're joined by a great group of actors. Ed and Carolyn Rankin, who was also in Horizon, is in Runaway. So that's a very, very nice short film.
So Star Trek Discovery is coming out. Another ship called Discovery.
Yeah, coincidental. It's totally coincidental. I do not think that CBS, whatever. It is what it is. But neat. It's going to be neat. So whether or not I pay for it, I've got between Netflix and Hulu and HBO.
I know. Personally, I'm looking forward to it, but I think this pay-as-you-go service they have to launch Star Trek, it's a hell of a risk considering what else considering the competition that they have.
Well, yeah, and it's very show specific. I don't know what else I'm going to get when am I going to do it? Yeah, I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah,
I'll let you know. Yeah, so that's not a question. I pay for it.
It's like me and BBC America. The only reason I pay for BBC America is to watch Doctor Who. I just that's just.
Yeah. You're paying, well, with BBC, though, if you pay, for a pay service, if I'm not mistaken, you get other shows.
Yeah, but...
So, if I'm paying for CBS, whatever, because I really haven't checked into how I'm going to pay for it yet, but, I'm hoping that I get other... I don't know if we do.
I don't know what else they have on CBS yet. Yeah. Right. I know they got Star Trek, but I haven't seen anything else advertised for it, so I have no idea what I'm getting.
Right. The way it looks to me is that I'm going to be paying to see Star Trek. Yeah. And you can do that. You can do that on television now, pay to watch a single series of a show. On Hulu, you can do that, I believe. And and so it's an interesting model. It's taking the streaming services now. You can just stream and pay for each episode of a show as you like it. Who knows? It's easy enough. Point and click.
Okay. What do you think of what you've seen of Discovery so far?
Oh, it's amazing looking. I've seen a couple trailers. You got a great cast. Bringing in a lot of you British actors. I
noticed we're not bad guys in this one. I like that.
No, but I'm sure they'll round up a couple Brits to be bad guys. Don't worry, that'll come. And it has to. I think it's. I don't know enough. You haven't seen enough.
Exactly. I've been looking at a lot of the comments on it, saying they hate it, they hate it, they hate it. I'm kind of going, I can't comment whether I hate it or not, and it just. And
the thing is that's such a strong word. Yeah. You don't like it, don't like it. If it's not your cup of tea, it's not your cup of tea.
You got people arguing about people
Why
say,
add the word hate? You know, that's the thing. We get this on the internet. You got this going on right now, and looking at your, like, you know, looking at the Axa Monitor Facebook
the Axa Monitor
page.
Facebook page. That's an interest. I was having this. It was an interesting conversation. It's kind of, oh, I hate Alex Peters, therefore it clouds my opinion of his production. I said, I actually praise this production.
Yeah.
You know, and if you're gonna, you know, one thing, you know, don't come on to my, you know, don't come on to me accusing me of being a hater. I don't hate. Hate is a very strong word. I don't hate Alex Peters. I have a lot of I have a lot of respect. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for what Alex Peters has achieved, and I hope that he does get his Axanar film finished. I'm actually hoping that he does. The only way to get out, the only way to move forward, is to let go of your drama, to let go of your hate. And
well, right. I mean, you know, hey, it's.
Yeah.
Why hate? You know, it just hurts a person.
It does.
I don't like that feeling, hate, you know, and it's, you know, like, you know, there's things that I do hate. Nazis, you know, not big on those. Hate Nazis. You know, do I feel that there's much that rises to the level of that? You know, there's things that you can hate. But why hate on, you know, when I watch, and believe me, I watch a lot of fan films, all different genres, all different, you know, lengths. I don't hate any of them.
No.
The people are making their, you know, as long as they're, you know, not spouting hate themselves, but, you know, there's no reason to, like, oh my gosh, I hate these people because they did this.
Yeah.
Why?
I think his point, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the new Ghostbusters movie, but I didn't hate it. There were good things about it, but at the same time, there was no point to make it, oh, I hate this so much, I'm going to make such a big fuss about it. And yes, I do reviews on my channel, and sometimes you see me overreact to, you know, to a film, saying I hate this film so much, but that's me playing a character. That is me kind of, you know, showing you how ridiculous it is to hate on something. So
exactly. And I don't have any. I have no bad blood towards Alec or any of those guys. You know, just stay out. I don't get involved in the drama. If there's drama going on, I'm just going to bow out. You know, there's no point. It doesn't do anybody any good whatsoever. You know,
and I just wish everybody else could see that.
And I think that you see that from Tommy. Tommy's not involved in any of the drama. Doesn't even give a squirt. You know, so that's why he is going to continue to inspire people, continue to, you know, very, very proud of the work he's done. He's a good man. He's smart. He stayed out of it. All of Horizon has. We just don't get involved. It's kind of like, you know, we're not, and I see the bickering between, you know, Star Trek and New Voyages, or Star Trek Continues and Axanar. Why? Just let it be. You know, everybody do their thing.
I mean, to be honest with you, I blame both sides for that. They you know, it's really just forget it. Just move on.
Well, right. They responded. They got into it, and there's no point. You know, it's bringing everybody down. And I think that as a fan base goes, you know, Star Trek has an amazing fan base, just amazing, and they have always been, you know, very passionate about it, and that's great. And so, but you know, if they can remain so passionate and, you know, without any of this infighting, bickering, you'll see more and more people telling their stories, and you know, under the guidelines or not, and you know, there'll be more fan product coming out, and we can just get out of that whole drama.
Oh, you please, know, please let that happen. I mean, you know, I mean, like I said, I do reviews, so by nature, everything I say is going to be controversial.
Right.
So if I praise something, somebody's going to despise what I said. If I criticize somebody, something's going to come along and give me a hard time over why I should give it a good time. When it comes to my opinion, that's all it is.
Right.
I try
that's everybody.
And
everybody's opinion is theirs.
In my profession, I try and make it as informed as I possibly can. But that doesn't necessarily mean that my opinion is your opinion. No matter how informed, no matter how much research I put into it or whatever, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You come to watch me for whether I think that something is worth watching. And if you decide to give it, you know, to put it on your own merits, it's fine. If you go and watch Horizon, which I personally appraised as better than Axanar, and you don't think it's better than Axanar, fine, I'm okay with that. It's all about personal taste at the end of the day. You know, it's not a problem with me. I'm just, for some reason, people pay me for my opinion, and I don't know. I don't know. We're now rambling at this point.
Right, exactly. And so, like, and I see some of this stuff where, you know, you get, you know, there's people who are, you know, angry with, you know, they're comparing the two and all that. Let's just let that go. Let's have fun. Let's hope and hope that we're going to enjoy Discovery for what it is. Visually speaking, you can see just absolutely stunning special effects.
Damn straight.
You know, the new version of Klingons looks pretty cool. And
if you give them hair, they look like the other Klingons anyway. Somebody actually proved that. You know, so somebody actually arguing and saying they don't look like the real Klingons, even if you give them hair.
Well, Klingons have never been real, and so
what does it matter? Yeah, but then again, somebody photoshopped hair on the Klingons and proved them wrong.
Yeah. So hey, you know what? I hope it's a big success. I really do.
I think Star Trek needs it at this point.
Yeah, and they do. I mean, actually, the Star Trek movies have been, you know, in terms of market, they've been successes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's who they're aiming for.
I love the actors. You know, Chris Pine and the rest of the cast there.
Every time I look at Christopher Pine, and he does have the Jim Kirk look on him.
Oh my gosh, does he not?
And then
the actor who plays Bones,
Carl Urban, he even puts his mannerisms down to it. You know?
Oh my gosh, doing a brilliant job. You know, whether or not the stories are, you know, I guess what Roddenberry wanted, you know, in terms of the original series, you know, more about this of who we are as humans. That's debatable.
I'm going to be very controversial here at this point, where, you know, we're in an age where it doesn't particularly matter what Gene Roddenberry's vision was, because we will never fully understand what his vision was. The only thing we can do is interpret what it was, and Abrams did that. Star Trek Discovery is doing that. Tommy did that. Alec Peters did that. We all have our own interpretation as to what Gene Roddenberry's vision was.
Right.
You know, and if we're going to sit here arguing this isn't real Trek or whatever, we're going to be here forever, because everybody has a different opinion as to what Star Trek is.
Enjoy it for what it's worth. Take the good. Take what you like. You know, don't like what you don't like. Move on.
It's not a real world at the end of the day. I mean, I'm a Doctor Who fan. Been watching it for 40 odd years now. And if you're going to argue with me about, you know, about canon in Doctor Who, you're going to be kind of like, you just can't, because that's a show that's been contradicting itself for 50 years. Why?
Right.
It's not a big deal, it has survived. It's, you know,
right.
And Star Trek will survive.
Keep telling fun stories.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it's about. It's about the stories. In the end, it's about the stories.
Yeah.
So, you know, take the story for what it's worth. I think Horizon has a wonderful story, you know, to tell, and I think that's, you know, wrapped up a lot of loose ends from the Enterprise series.
That's what I loved about it the most.
Yeah.
It did feel like, to be honest with you, Enterprise's send-off was so disappointing. And then I watched this, and this felt like the send-off that Enterprise deserved.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Enterprise, as you probably noticed. But one thing I will say about... One thing I wrote in my review was, to me, with Enterprise, I kind of got T'Pol, the smart one, telling us to keep out of trouble. And then you got the crew, mainly men, getting us into trouble and kind of screwing up the timeline. And then there's the crew of Discovery, who are actually people who think about their problems. I noticed this kind of difference. We got the gung-ho Enterprise crew, and then there was you guys kind of going, hey, we're in a situation.
Yeah.
Let's put our heads together and figure this out.
Well, you know, and I think what Tommy went for and achieved, and, you know, maybe some people like it or some people don't, is that this was a crew on a ship. Now, granted, we could have used, you know, a couple more people. This seems like it was a small crew. But it's a crew nonetheless on a ship, has a job to do. And we kind of discussed this in the beginning of the filming, how did they want, how did we want to portray the crew of the ship? And there's going to be more of a military feel to it. That was because we wanted to have these feel like people who are doing a job.
Mm-hmm.
And that was we were not swashbucklers. We were explorers. Some of us did have more of a military background than some others, and more just, hey, these are real people. And we tried to get that across. They're not superheroes in any way. And I think we did a good job with it.
I think you did a fantastic. I mean, this, like I said, it's going to be controversial. I preferred Horizon to the Enterprise series, and that's me.
Yeah, that's thank you for that. I don't know if I'm on board. No, okay.
I just wanted you to know that I had a greater appreciation for your crew than I did for the Enterprise crew, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. But that's how I felt, with the Enterprise crew I felt a lot of swashbuckling. With your crew I felt a lot of more militarism and more order, Yeah,
we had a job to do, and it was fun. I mean, we had a fun time doing it. And in the end, that's the reason why it doesn't really, hey, I get people will have their opinions, and it's great. You can have them. And of course, as as an actor, I'll always take criticism because that'll help me improve my craft. However, the film Horizon, Star Trek Horizon, first and foremost, was a fan film that was done, by a young man who loves Enterprise. And we had fun. We had a great time. Yeah. I'd love to do it again with these guys. Great cast.
I was actually going to ask you two final questions before we wrap up. Sure. First of all, you've already answered the question. You would work with Tommy again.
Oh yeah, I would. Whether he'd work with me again, we'll see. The characterization from Runaway, the character I played, was a pretty mean fella. So I think we've let that side of my personality out.
Scary.
No, of course I would work with Tommy again. Absolutely, he's a wonderful guy, just all around. Very skilled in what he does, and I would work with all of them again. We had a lot of fun. There were a lot of fun moments. Watch the blooper reel. We had a lot of fun. I still remain in close conversation with everybody. There's some people I haven't even met yet still, though, because the West Coast, East Coast filming, and I believe I'm going to meet them at the Burbank International Film Festival. Star Trek Continues has a film there, and I'm going to go see that, and I look forward to seeing and meeting some of those guys. That'll be kind of fun.
I wish I could go. Unfortunately, work requires me to.
Yeah, well, for all the people who are listening to you in LA, it's September 9th, I believe.
We might be able to make it then.
Yeah, Star Trek Continues. The film is at 9 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. Go to the Burbank International Film Festival website and check it out. And get I believe tickets are complimentary. I think they're free, which is wonderful.
Oh, so even better. We might meet after all. I mean, like I said, Vegas is about 3 or 4 hour drive for us.
That's nothing.
It's nothing. I mean, I was on a Greyhound for 2.5 days moving here, so that's that's nothing. Second of all, this is more of a geeky thing for me, and the only reason I ask, one of my favorite episodes in Enterprise was In a Mirror Darkly. Would you be willing to play the evil counterparts of your characters at some point?
Oh, that would be awesome! Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Playing evil is fun. That's why you go check out Runaway.
Okay, well, we will
check out Runaway. If you haven't seen it, you'll see very different character than Harrison Hawk. And I play Al Capone in Thrill Ride.
Oh,
he's not as evil as he is just plain nuts. So it's fun being bad. Absolutely fun being bad.
Nice.
It's fun being good too. It's fun being I had a lot of fun in Star Trek Horizon, but would I play an evil Harrison? Of course. I think Harrison even brings that into the story. If you haven't seen Horizon, for those people who are watching this, maybe Harrison did have a past, a dark past, and he talks about it, and that really is the crux, I believe, of Horizon. Is who are we as a federation of a young federation trying to hold off a threat, but who are we as humans?
Yeah, that kind of really hit home with me. Being former military myself, I'm also a pacifist, so you can imagine how.
No, I gotcha.
How. Well, I'm not going to put mince my words. How technically being a killer kind of conflicts with that. So I mean,
that happens with growth.
Yeah.
You're young and idealistic, and you go into the military, and I absolutely love the Marine Corps.
I don't regret the military.
I would come to the defense of my nation. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But with age, I do get more cynical. Before going into conflict.
Yeah, and I've had to, I've had to weigh that, weigh what I've done in the past and how I make up for it today. You know what I'm saying? And
absolutely.
Not everything.
But you did what you had to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's once again that's kind of what makes us who we are.
And that's kind of how that particular scene hit home with me. When it's kind of like, at the end of the day, a Starfleet captain is still a military man as well. And they've made some pretty harsh decisions. I remember one episode of TNG where I think it was Chancellor Troy is training for a bridge promotion.
Okay.
And she doesn't understand how to solve this problem until she figures out that in order to save the ship, she has to send Geordi LaForge to his death.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, that is what it's like to make a command decision.
Yep. Absolutely. So.
All
right. Well, hey, have a fun day.
We are indeed.
The Thrones season finale.
Yeah, you've got an afternoon, haven't you? So.
I do.
I think that's basically it. Can I just ask you one more question before you go?
Absolutely.
Advice to young younger actors out there.
Hey, just keep doing what you love. Act. So if you want to be an actor, just go act. That's Lucille Ball said it. She said the reason why she was successful was because people allowed her to act anywhere at any time, and have fun with it. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
That's just I think the secret to everything. Have fun and doing act. Study, do your craft. You Brits definitely have a good, schooling out there, the Royal Shakespeare Academy.
Which I was a member of.
There you go. Yeah. And I mean, that's, go and seek out, teachers, go seek out great schools, train, act, have fun, get in front of a camera. Hey, that's just keep at it. If you're not having fun, you're not doing it right. Now, sometimes it's work, especially as you start doing other films. And sometimes, hours on set's difficult, 10, 12 hours on set. But it's, you do what you love. You don't work a day in your life. So, all your passions. Definitely follow your passions. Don't let people talk you out of it.
Well, we've reached the hour line.
All right.
So I'm going to stop here. And thank you so much for your time. You have a wonderful day.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you. And hopefully we'll meet on the 9th.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Take care.